evening, everyone. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing while Councilman Sarah leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we normally pray that you watch over our city and our community, but I think right now you're going to be needed in Florida. Please watch over all the people and all the states that are in the path of this storm that's coming. Amen.
Amen.
I liked it with the lights there.
Just to advise that meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act. The first order of business is the approval of the council meeting minutes from August 17th and September 7th, and the executive session minutes from September 21st, 2016. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes? Seeing none, could we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
McLeod,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Mayor Gunther.
I will abstain on August 17th and yes to the others.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the approval of payroll requisition list and operating expenses. Could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to point out to the rest of council. I corresponded with Ed about the question I had at the September 21st meeting and on tonight's list about the pay-to-play certifications from the professional vendors who are subject to our ordinance, and Ed has advised me that they have in hand the signed certifications.
That is correct. The QPA has advised that the paperwork is in order, and he has it, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, could we have roll call, please?
View,
Yes.
McLeod,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Simpson,
Abstain to 16-02241. Yes to everything else.
16-02241.
Yes.
Mayor Gunther.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This time, I'll open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. If anyone would like to address council on any of the items that appear on the agenda, please step forward, use the microphone, and state your name and address for the record. Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
Ann H. Phillips, 308 27th Street. I have questions about the two contracts, Resolutions 196 and 197. What is the significance of the amount $17,500 used in the details? And what is the current bid threshold? How do these figures affect the fact that both these contracts are being awarded as an alternative, non-advertised method of award? A business entity disclosure certification is included by the companies. And regarding this form, I'd like to commend Councilman DeLucre for bringing this pay-to-play legal requirement for revealing political contributions to the attention of the public, the council, and the city manager. So if you have answers to those questions, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. When we get there, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Any other questions on agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move into our agenda. First, we have a proclamation, and this is a proclamation to knock out Opiate Abuse Day, October 6, 2016. Whereas New Jersey is in the midst of a life-threatening opiate abuse epidemic, and whereas the Partnership for a Drug-Free New Jersey has designated October 6, 2016 as Knockout Opiate Abuse Day, an initiative with the dual purpose to educate families of the addictive qualities of opioid pain medicines and their link to heroin abuse rates in New Jersey, and outreach to physicians with safer prescribing messages found in the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines for prescribing opiates, which include considering other therapies, setting realistic treatment goals with patients, and discussing with patients the pros and cons of opioids. Whereas City Council of the City of Brigantine supports initiatives designed to raise awareness about opiate abuse in New Jersey and take steps to prevent addiction. Now therefore be it resolved that October 6, 2016 be recognized as Knockout Opiate Abuse Day in the City of Brigantine. And as you know, this is an epidemic that is throughout our state, and certainly Brigantine has taken a proactive role with our own committee for the prevention of the abuse of drugs and alcohol, having a opioid summit last year. Was that last year or the year before? 2 years ago. And trying to get information out to educate individuals about the dangers of opioids and opiate abuse. Chief Bennett, I don't know if you want to add anything to that from your perspective?
I think it's a valuable service. As you know, that kind of dovetails in with what we do at the school with our Bucks program, which is an offshoot of the DARE program. So anytime we can get the information out, get help, and places that folks can get help is a positive for us, especially on the law enforcement side.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we now move to ordinance number 10 of 2016, introduction, dumping debris in drainage systems. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 220, Article 5 of the Code of City of Brigantine as it relates to the dumping of debris within the city stormwater drainage system. We have a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second. Ed, if you would talk about the need for this ordinance?
Thank you, Mayor. The revisions that we're requesting, or the amendments that we're requesting, comes as a result of our CRS review. That's the community rating system review that we do for our flood insurance. By changing this ordinance, the intent is to regulate no dumping in not just our storm sewer inlets in our street, but any component of our drainage system. And as we all know, we have the golf course and all the drainage ditches and the drainage lakes on the golf course. They are part of our drainage system. So by amending this ordinance, we would include all the components, the ditches, the lakes, the inlets, things like that, and prohibit dumping in all of them.
Great. Okay, any discussion by council?
Just a question, does this include dumping of oil, and would that be considered debris, or is it all solid debris?
I believe this is solid debris. Hazardous waste would be, I believe, addressed elsewhere.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, can we have roll call, please?
View,
Yes.
McClay,
Yes.
Withers,
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Mayor Gunther,
Yes.
motion carried.
Resolution 2016-194 is a foreclosure in rem tax sale certificate. Whereas New Jersey statutes as amended permits the municipal government to foreclose in rem certain tax sale certificates, the City of Brigantine is the owner of one tax sale certificate set forth in the exhibit which is attached. It is in the best interest of the City of Brigantine to foreclose such tax certificates, and whereas the funds have been provided for the expense of said foreclosures. Now be resolved that John Eccles, Jr. Esquire, is hereby authorized to foreclose the tax sale certificate of the attached tax foreclosure list. We have a motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
And what exactly is in rem stand for?
In rem foreclosures are those foreclosures that are pursued by the municipality. to be distinguished from in personam foreclosures, which are person-to-person foreclosures. Because the municipality is the holder of the tax sale certificate, we go through the in rem process. If the tax sale certificate were owned by an individual who was then foreclosing as against another individual's property, it would be an in personam foreclosure. Historically, there was a difference. If you go back several years ago, in personam foreclosures were much more detailed than in rems. In rems were almost a matter of course, and if the municipality was doing it, you could knock them out very quickly. Over a period of time, the conditions associated with in rems have actually been broadened so that the convenience that municipalities once had about 20 years ago has been substantially reduced. They still carry the title of in rem, but many of the tasks that the attorney has to do really parallel what once was the in personam.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you.
Okay, could we have roll call, please?
View,
Yes.
McClay,
Yes.
Withers,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Mayor Gunther,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, Resolution 2016-195, authorizing a national cooperative pricing agreement. Resolution to become a member of the Houston Galveston Area Council Cooperative Purchasing Program, the HGAC. Could we have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Ed, once again, this has been recommended by our QPA.
Yes, Mayor, it is recommended by our QPA. The advantages, as I understand it, with this national co-op is for larger equipment, some emergency equipment, police equipment, things of that nature. It just is another opportunity for us to explore better options for our purchasing.
Very good. Could we have roll call, if there's no further discussion?
Yes.
McClay,
Yes.
Withers,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Mayor Gunther,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, Resolution 2016-196, award a contract with Calico Enterprises for various supplies. We have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ed, this is one that, it is a, will exceed 17.5. I'm assuming we buy a number of things from Calico over the year.
That is correct, Mayor. And yes, we anticipate that it will exceed 17.5. The importance of that number is the state pay-to-play law or threshold. So we will exceed it. It is mostly supplies that are purchased through our Clean Communities program. And we last year spent about $24,500. So we're looking at about that same order of magnitude.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I have one question on the political contribution disclosure form, Part 2 on this one, because I compared it to the other one for the next item on the agenda. In Part 2, the contributor left it blank, that section. Does that mean that there was none, or was that an oversight?
Part 2,
Contribution disclosure. I noticed on the next item on the agenda, that section is filled in by the business.
so I see where he has checked the box sole proprietorship under Part 2, but I see that he did not check the first box. Is that what you're?
Well, he
No, I
didn't,
think that what it says is it tells you to list if you've done something over 300 hours, right?
yeah, and the next item on the agenda has written in there, none. I didn't know if he skipped
Okay,
over it,
so-
or if he meant to, if that means none.
That means none. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments? Could we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
McClay?
Yes.
Withers?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Mayor Gunther?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Resolution 2016-197 is award of contract for Tuckahoe Sand and Gravel. Could we have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Ed, this is one that is in the same category that we're buying stone and gravel for the city's beach areas and walkways.
That is correct, and also stone for Public Works to use in their various operations. We expect the order of magnitude to be somewhere in the $25,000-$30,000 range. It'll be less than the $40,000 bid threshold, but more than the $17,500 to pay-to-play threshold.
And I think you may have answered one of Mrs. Phillips's questions. 17.5 is for the political contribution level for the pay-to-play. The bid threshold with a qualified purchasing agent is 40,000.
That is correct.
Right, I'm assuming that this was not something that went out to bid.
So
So
it
in
is
the
something-
aggregate, we're spending more than the 17.5, but less than the 40.
That's correct. It's something that we get 3 quotes for, and the way in this particular example with Tuckahoe, there's a second fee for the trucking of the material, right? So you pay a cost for the material, and then you pay a cost to truck it. Geographically, Tuckahoe represents our closest supplier, so we do get quotes, and Tuckahoe ends up being the most cost-effective vendor.
And I think that's an important thing to note. You did mention it, but you have to get 3 quotes for a purchase of that size. So there is backup material for these purchases. It's under the bid threshold, so there are quotes. Now, something like this could appear on one of these cooperatives too. And that's why we do these things going forward. So it could be bid in a larger scope, and then we would get either the tonnage rate or whatever the rate is. Okay. Next, we move to our consent agenda.
I think you need a vote, Mayor.
Oh, we forgot to vote. I'm sorry. If we could have roll call, please.
View?
Yes.
McClay?
Yes.
Withers?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Mayor Gunther?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, we move to our consent agenda. We have the Republican Club Halloween Parade request, the Elks raffle license number 793 and 794. Could we have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Could we have roll call?
View?
Yes.
McClay?
Yes.
Withers?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
Mayor Gunther?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next we move to the council manager committee discussion. Mr. Stinson, do you have anything to bring forward tonight?
Yes, Mayor, bring you up to date with a couple projects. We have the streetscape, as you all, I'm sure, are aware of it. The project's moving along as long as the weather cooperates. Last week we had a bit of a rough week in terms of the weather, but we are moving along. The underground electric on the bay side, the conduits are in. Most of the concrete is complete. We should hopefully by the end of this week be finished on the bay side and jumping over to the ocean side. Then you'll see the electric and the concrete proceed on that side as well. You'll see a couple of the light poles standing next week as well. Not energized, obviously, but you'll see them starting to appear and going up. The other project is the boat ramp drainage improvements, and that contract, you may recall, has been awarded. We have a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and the NJEDA, which is the grant agency. That's scheduled for Tuesday. So at the next council meeting, I should be able to update council on a schedule for that construction project. And then the last is the generator at the fire department. We did receive bids I mentioned it at the last council meeting, but we'll have the recommendation for award of that contract for council to consider at the October 17th meeting.
Ned, I know we've talked about this too, some of the other resiliency and drainage projects that are in the pipeline. You want to give sort of an update on
Sure.
where we are with those, especially the drainage project for Jenkins and in that area?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. We have several projects that are moving through the permitting process, and actually some that are extremely close to coming out of that permitting process, which then would take us to bid. So the one that is closest is the Flood Risk Reduction and Resiliency Grant. That's the 3 stormwater pump stations, one at Jenkins Parkway, one at Hackney Place, and one at the Lighthouse Circle. That's a almost $4 million grant to construct those 3 pump stations. We've made it through the DEP permitting, and we've made it through the comment period that's required by the grant. So that project should be going out to bid this month, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation for award during the one of the November meetings, probably the second meeting in November. The other project that is very close is the Ocean Drive Drainage Project. That has made it through the DEP review process, made it through the public comment period. We have not received that permit yet. We've reached out to the DEP, but the review agent is away on vacation, so hopefully next week or the week after we'll get a status on that. Once we receive the permit, we go back up to the NJEIT for their authorization to bid, and then we'll be looking to put that project out to bid. I also met with the engineer doing the design for the 12th Street and East Evans drainage. That's moving along. We are still in permitting. I am meeting again with him next week to try to move that project through to bidding. They're the major projects.
In terms of those drainage projects, how much of a factor is the winter weather with that type of work?
So for the pump stations, I mean, winter weather is always going to be a factor, but it's we generally have cooperative weather through December, and then we have a few months and tide conditions that probably would give us some problems. So I expect that they'll be constructed in the spring, winter, spring, so that it'll be complete by summertime of 2017.
Great.
Now that's for the 3 pump stations and for the boat ramp improvements. The other projects are still kind of contingent on the DEP permits.
Good. No, you know, there may be some other opportunities to improve that one project as we move along as well.
The East Evans Boulevard.
Yes.
So we expect that's the meeting that I had. So the change in scope is we're looking at putting a stormwater pump station at 6th Street North and East Evans Boulevard. That's the area that is, if not the lowest on the island, it is the second lowest. There's almost a 3-way tie between Hackney Place and the Bay, Lincoln and Sheridan, and 6th Street North and East Evans. They're all inches above high tide. So the meeting I had with the design engineer is conceptually we're going to look at putting a pump station 6th Street North, running the force main down East Evans to discharge at 12th Street North, rather than doing another gravity line, because we're finding that gravity line only works when tide's down, right? That's when it works the best, I should say. So the pump stations will give us that edge when we have the tidal conditions that normally we get with the storms.
Great.
Ed, I'm hearing good things on the capping project along East Shore Drive.
That is moving along.
Yes,
We're I
good.
think, finished East Shore Drive and moving on to 12th Street North.
Good. I have a question. When you start working at the boat ramp, do you anticipate the boat ramp itself being closed to boats coming in and out? I know we're coming to closer to the end of the season.
So there may be times when the access to the boat ramp may be limited.
Okay,
I don't think it'll be closed.
okay.
There certainly will be time when we're doing the floodgate at the boat ramp that we're going to have to close it for a short period of time. There's also drainage work that's being done in that whole area along Bayshore Avenue, up 5th Street North slightly towards towards Evans. Excuse me. So there's going to be detours when we're crossing the street. One of the things we do at our pre-construction meeting is we start reviewing traffic control plans and discuss how he will progress through the project and make sure that we have a say in that. So obviously he's not going to shut off the road, shut down the boat ramp for 3 months and just, and he's a good contractor and we know he'll work with us. So it's one of the considerations that we will talk about, but yes, there will be some delays, but we will keep them as minimal as possible.
Okay, and we'll make sure everybody gets notified of
That is correct.
when that will happen.
Well,
Good, thank you.
If you have to shut it down, can we shut it down during duck season? Do me a favor and do me a favor.
Ed, on the capping along the bulkhead on East Shore Drive, when it wraps around 12th Street North, will it go all the way to the end?
So it'll go to where we put in the berm by the,
Okay,
past our pump station to the end of the existing bulkhead, yes.
okay. And the Jenkins Parkway pump, would that project include repairs to the sinkhole and the other repairs that are needed in that area?
That is the plan, yes.
That
So
would be part of it.
there will be, the existing outfall will be replaced, the existing large outfall will be replaced, relocated out from under that island slightly because we're doing the pump station and the generator within that island. So yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And two, while we're talking about flooding, I received an email about flooding on Cherokee Boulevard. I don't know if that's something we can look into and see, I guess, what's going on there, if there's something we can do to kind of remediate that as well.
So I've had some calls regarding that, and actually we have met, the mayor and I have met with the county administrator and the county engineer to look at that, the intersection of Cherokee and the access road. The county came in and as we all know, did the paving job on the boulevard. They repaved that intersection and they pitched the intersection back towards the boulevard and trapped water. So the county did come out and redo that, made it better, but it is still an issue and the county is aware of it. I actually emailed yesterday with the county engineer. They're working on a plan to improve the drainage in that area.
And one other issue I want to bring up too is, I guess, ice cream on the beach. As it is right now, I think we only allow people to walk, I think it's about 7th Street,
That is right.
and let the trucks do from that north. But I guess a lot of people on the beach north of that aren't receiving the ice cream service that they want, and they wanted to know if we could extend the walkers down.
Well, I think certainly council can. I think that was how we tailored this particular ordinance. So I think we can. I'll tell you, I don't know if council has heard, any negative comments on how it's been working now, but I think for the last 2 summers, the veteran on the beach have, as far as I know, I haven't heard complaints about it. So Fred and I can look at the ordinance and see what changes would need to be done and bring that back to council if you'd like.
Please.
Okay.
Great.
And I got a couple, just an issue with a couple of people. They asked me on Barden Road, some of the citizens maybe, with John and Chief Bennett over here. Seems like there's a lot of speeding going down there with the kids, especially when they're coming off the school buses and stuff like that. Maybe we can put some signs down there, children at play, slow down, whatever. And in the meantime, maybe Chief Bennett, with your direction, that can get some police officers down there while kids are getting off the bus, making sure everybody's obeying the law and keeping the speed down.
Okay.
If you can take care of that.
I'll get together with the chief and with John.
Okay.
Work on that.
It's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, and
Thanks.
the we've had some complaints about essentially the area in the central business district, but really from St. Thomas up through City Hall there's a lot of traffic going through the cross streets, but we don't have speed limit signs on any of those side streets that I'm aware of. Now, I don't know if that's something we've ever done and whether that would have any impact that people need to be at 25 miles per hour, but it seems there are certain streets when people turn the corner, they're moving pretty good to get to the next intersection.
12th Street North is a street where it's a long stretch, and I think people don't know the speed limit on that road. And they come flying down 12th North, that's a long stretch.
Yeah, on the short side streets, like 9th through 13th, I'm pretty sure that we don't have them. Those streets are tight to begin with, so,
Right.
and I'll say it publicly, anybody that's speeding up one of those, especially during the summertime, is a fool, because it's very tight.
It is tight.
I can send one of my guys out. I have an officer who I assign a lot of the traffic details to. I can have him check some of these side streets for speed limit signs, but I'm pretty sure that we don't have them there. I agree with Councilwoman McClay about 12th Street North. That is that's one of those straight runs into the golf course and Back Bay area that probably would benefit from a sign.
I'm also hearing more rumblings again from that 400 block of Lafayette.
Not my parents, is it?
No, no. A few houses up.
We still don't have our radar trailer back yet. It's a specialized piece of equipment, and the company that's working on it is waiting for 2 parts. I can put my guys back out there periodically when we're not doing Varden and Roosevelt.
I was going to say, yeah, same issue on Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt was also another one.
Yeah, we had them down in Roosevelt
Speed
after the
humps.
last meeting. We had them there for about 2 weeks in the 100 block in North Roosevelt.
Okay,
and,
good.
that seemed to help. We issued a couple of warnings and a couple of summonses.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I can tell you along those lines on that, I mean, I've been off of the corner of 30th and Revere for some time now, and when they come off the boulevard right on the Revere, I noticed through the years you guys have always, you've had the radar trailers there, and it slows people down, but if somebody's going to speed, they're going to speed, and unfortunately, you know, you guys writing the tickets, I think, is the best thing, but there's, you know, you can only do what you can do right now, even in those neighborhoods. If somebody's going to speed, they're going to speed, and unfortunately, we can revisit as much as we want. You can put the trailers there as much as you want. But I think you said, like, you know, I've heard of people there getting the tickets, and the word spreads, and then people know to slow down, or, you know. But I'm at 30th and Revere right off the boulevard there. I don't think, sometimes in my yard, I just hear people come humming off the boulevard, and I step out in the street, you know, slow down, so it is what it is at this point. You know.
Ed, are they going to be starting the rest of the boulevard paving, 38th Street in?
They are, yes. There was a pre-construction meeting that the chief went to with the county for the signalization improvements to Harbor Beach, 38th Street, and that paving project. I believe, Chief, the work's going to start the end of this month?
That's the plan. They expect the 14th of this month to have all the permitting done, and then anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after that, they'll begin. And they're going to do one intersection at a time, Harbor Beach Boulevard. They have to do all the ADA compliant curbing and everything, and sidewalks. Then they'll do the signaling, then pave the intersection up, then they'll move down to 38th Street.
Okay, good. And are we getting an arrow at 38th Street?
I'm not sure. Ed might be able to answer that better.
The last conversation that I've had, and I've had several with the county engineer, and they have assured me that, yes, there will be a left turn
That's
signal
very, very
at 38th Street.
necessary.
Yes,
Thank you.
I agree.
While the chief is on the microphone, do you want to give an update on Hurricane Matthew?
Sure, Mayor. Hurricane Matthew right now, and I'm going to say this right now, and knock on wood, is going to be a non-factor for us. There's a strong cold front that is pushed in from the west, and unfortunately for the folks of Florida and Georgia, it's going to push Matthew out to sea, and in all likelihood, it's going to spin it right back around into Florida again. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, we'll probably see some rain out of it, maybe some gale force winds, but nothing above the 30-mile-an-hour range. And when it eventually does get released from that low-pressure cold front that's coming through, it's going to drift out to sea and probably get closer to New England than us. So we
Great.
should be fine for now.
And it's a good The astronomical cycle is such that we're in a good shape there?
Much better shape than we were with the last storm. Yes, Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Ed, I have one other question. I know you said you were planning on meeting with department heads to go over the budget for next year. I don't know if you started that process or not, but I did send an email, and I think I CC'd John on it. I was just wondering about the beach access mats. How many more beaches will we be budgeting for to do that matting?
Our plan, I have a department head meeting tomorrow. It's not the budget meeting, but I will be talking with the department heads about preparing their budget requests, and then we'll schedule the department head budget, the official budget hearing, for later in this month, more than likely. In terms of the beach access, our plan, John and I's plan, is to have beach mats at every one of our beach entrances. Whether we get there this coming year will depend in part on whether or not it can be bonded or it has to be all part of the budget. If it's in the budget, then it depends on council's adoption of the budget. But our goal is absolutely to have the blue mats at all the beach entrances, and we'll put together the plan and we'll present it to council.
If I recall, I think, what did we do, about 12 of them? Or do you know how many we did about?
And it was like 18.
18.
Yeah.
And how many are there in all? How many paths that would need matting?
Don't put me on the spot.
Did we do a quarter of them?
About a little over a quarter.
We did a little over a
Yes,
quarter of them?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, because people love those mats. I heard nothing but good things about the mats, how easy it is for even just elderly people or people who have trouble walking. It makes it that much easier. The other thing I wanted to ask, in the recreation budget, I just wanted to bring this up, and maybe you can talk to Jim Mogan about it. As you know, this year was the first art walk, and it was a huge success, and there was entertainment at all the art walks. And I know a few times up at the seawall there was entertainment, which these people performed for free. And I think it would be nice if we can help the art walk and possibly offer to pay for some of the entertainment that's outside at the seawall or at the Lighthouse District or in the Central Business District this year. Because once you get someone to perform for free, you know, when you keep asking them to come back and perform, it's tough. You want to be able to offer them. We do pay a lot of money for concerts now, but if we can somehow allocate a portion of that money, maybe to pay for some entertainment, and maybe Jim Mogan can sit down with Connie Pyatt and talk about that. And usually the entertainers, they're not bands. It's not like we're talking about the Ferris Band or the Hobo Band. You're just talking one or two entertainers performing. And the cost is much, much lower than some of the larger concerts that we pay for. So if you would ask Jim about that, that would, that's a huge draw, the art walk. It would be nice to have regular entertainment.
I can talk to Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. At this point, I'll open the meeting for public comment. Anyone from the public who would like to address council, please step forward, use the microphone, and state your name and address for the record. Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
Ann H. Phillips, 308 27th Street. My subject is certain activities on our beach. Some of them, such as the number and location of non-official vehicles on the beach and the obvious illegal use of alcohol on the four-wheel drive beach areas, have caused questions about law enforcement before. But a recent permitted activity at the Cove has focused public attention and outrage on our laws governing the use of the beach. This is a serious matter not to be disposed of quietly without looking at the many facets and significance of this event. It was correct to issue 2 summonses for the illegal use of alcohol and for the amount of trash that was left behind. This was a daytime, hours-long wedding and reception although I think the permit only allowed for a wedding at the Cove. It's wrong to stop at issuing the summonses and to ignore the following questions and consequences, and here are some of those. Additional violations of ordinances such as parking and no parking and handicap parking spots. Negative effect on the adjacent property owners who observed what was taking place and have commented upon it. A negative effect on Brigantine's economy, its restaurants, its tax-paying restaurants. Liability to the city, which of course means the taxpayers, from possible accidents and damage. No bathroom facilities. And the two big questions that I have: where were the police? The participants openly served alcohol from a bar, obviously unconcerned about being stopped and ticketed. And second question, who in the administration knew about the event and appeared and or said nothing? Also, it appears that the caterer whose van was illegally parked was in violation of its liquor license. And what about the New Jersey ABC and Brigantine's reputation for enforcing its laws? Selective law enforcement, which appears to be the case here, is bad for any municipality. This whole business has a bad odor, and council needs to clean it up. And I and the BTA would appreciate some comments from council on this issue, because it is fairly well known, it's gotten a lot of adverse publicity, and it's certainly not good for the town. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. I have a question for you. How did you find out about this event?
Okay, first of all, I got a call from a resident who lives there, who was walking on the beach, curious, walked up, no problem. It's out in the open. The large commercial-sized grill was there. The pig was there. The tents were up. She saw people using the dunes for, in place of bathroom facilities. And she made some comments, and then nobody seemed to care. And she walked back home, and she sent me an email to look at what was on Brigantine Now, which I did. I then called Chief Bennett and made him aware of those pictures. And
This was after the event had already taken place?
yes, it was. And
that's the reason I asked the question. I mean, I question any information you get off of that website, because the veracity of what is placed there is, in my estimation, usually about 99% false.
But
Okay, so
these-
let me clear one thing up. I did not approve the event. I did not know anything about the event. It had nothing to do with my school. Absolutely nothing to do with my school. So all of those things that are put out there are just ridiculous. Now, if you knew about that event or someone saw that event and they felt that violations were going on, I wish they had called the police department at that time. If they had called me, I would have called the police department. I would have called Chief Bennett. If they called the city manager, he would have done the same.
okay, may I complete you asked the question, I'd like to complete answering it. You talked about, there are pictures, Mayor, you can't deny what took place.
I understand that, but if we're going to enforce something, we need to know that it's taking place. And the allegation that I would approve something like that and that in any way it's tied to me is so insulting that someone would believe that and someone would perpetrate that lie, an absolute lie, which is,
All right, put
once
that
again,
aside. I'm not stating that. I'm saying that those are the pictures. This took place. It lasted for hours. It was daylight. And the people obviously had no concern about the fact that what they were doing was a violation. They didn't have any fear from anybody seeing them. And as it went on for hours, and where a legitimate question from this person and myself, Where were the police? You couldn't help but notice, if you're on patrol, that this was going on. And these people, they got a permit, I'm assuming, I haven't seen a copy of it, that the permit was for a wedding, not a reception. Huge difference. And obviously, we all know that weddings have taken place on this beach here for years. That's not the problem. And if it's going to be an event that is really out of the ordinary, which certainly a wedding reception would be, then council would have to approve this, as you have approved other events on the beach that are out of
Right.
the ordinary.
And one of the things that any event, if this came before council, and I know because city manager and I have talked about it, any event that is approved through his office, it says right on there that there is no alcohol permitted.
That's
And
right.
that would have been part of what this council would have discussed as well, if in fact it had come before this council.
Well, yes, I don't think it would have been approved by council. However, the people who got the permit knew what they were doing was illegal. It didn't bother them
Right.
to see other people doing this, which a person observing this would have to assume that somehow, no, they felt that they were not going to have a problem. They would get away with it. And some of the comments, and actually the groom did threaten the person who runs the Brigantine Now website. There was a threat, came to the house, and he threatened them. I don't know what happened as a result of that. However, this should never have happened, and I think a fair question is, why wasn't it noticed? Police are out there patrolling. That's a fair question to ask, and once Chief Bennett found out about it, he said that yet the summonses would be issued, and I'm assuming they were. But I think we need to look at the way the system runs. If the permit was just for a wedding and not a reception, then somebody should be looking at that. The police should have a record of that permit and be able to know that this is being done properly. So I think there are a lot of things here that need to be reviewed and strengthened, and alcohol is certainly nothing that you fool around with. There could be liability from what was going on down there, and the people who were there just thought this was great. You know, we can get away with this. That's a bad reputation to have for any
Well,
community.
Let me make one thing clear again. I can speak for myself. I knew nothing about this event. I did not approve the event, and I did not ask anyone not to enforce whatever the law is that pertains to that event. Now, once again, I'll ask the chief, you know, their reaction to it is once they found that it occurred, and there are large gatherings on the beach that take place all over the island.
That's fine, and
Now, if someone saw something illegal going on, I wish they had called, because they would have responded. They don't, you know, and I'll let the chief speak for himself.
That's correct. As I said to you on the phone, Mrs. Phillips, when we know there's an event going on a beach, we do not intrude on their events. It's a private party. They've paid a fee. They filled out the forms. I can let the manager or the solicitor detail the forms, and we generally stay away from it. As the mayor said, we have a lot of large-scale events on the beach, and we stay away from them. You know, we're not going to know that anything's going on unless we happen to go down there. And where that event was situated, we're not going to see it from Lagoon Boulevard or Ocean Drive. It was down around the right-hand side closer to the bridge. So the only way we would have known is had somebody call it in. We do patrols down there. They're not routine. Our guys stay on the street. After the season is over, we're not on the beaches all the time like we are. We don't have our specials out. So there's a very good chance that one of my guys was not down there. He was somewhere else in his district while that vehicle was unloading in the handicap zone and while the event was going on.
Well, there should be better communication between the permitting process, which the event is, the nature of it is stated, and the prohibition of alcohol, against alcohol is
Right.
prominently displayed, and the police department, because it's a small island, fairly small, and it's usually a quiet time at this time of the year, and the police could be out there and just checking on this, because
So, Mrs. Phillips, let me ask you a question. You know, once again, I would encourage...
I'm not accusing you.
No. I would encourage the BTA members and anyone else who speaks to you, and if someone calls you and they raise an issue like this, if it's contemporaneous with the event, to please call 7414. you know, and let them know that something is going on. They will respond.
Well, that's something, now you're being, what you're saying tonight is going to be going out around this area, and the fact that if people see something, say something. I mean, that's connected with terrorism, but in this case, it would be something that would be happening that is illegal.
Well,
So,
and also, I would tell you, I would ask this of you, because you apparently have a relationship with the owner of the website, that I expect a correction and an apology, because to put something out like that is really irresponsible for someone to say what was said when it is absolutely untrue. And I would ask you to do that, Mrs. Phillips, for me, that you would ask that there would be a correction and an apology.
Well, you also could ask, Mayor Gunther. You were the one against whom the charge was made, and I don't believe, I didn't believe it at the time in the sense that there was no evidence to prove that, and it was a charge that evidently there was somebody down there. I think I know what the connection is. I'm not going to bring it up now, but between the school and the city, as a city employee, and I'll just leave it at that. And that's where I think somebody joined the dots and they weren't correct, and that's what happened. But I think this should be eye-opening in the sense that you want to have a clean name in this town concerning the use of alcohol, and maybe communication can be better, and maybe more patrols should be out there. And certainly, people, if they see something, should feel free to call the police department. As soon as I found out about it, after it was over, of course, I did call the chief and alerted him to it and made sure that he got that website with the picture. And then more pictures, actually the person who wandered into it, and as she complained, she said, you know, they have broken glass from the bottles. They were very, shall we say, sloppy, leaving behind a lot of trash for which the city became responsible. And so it was a disreputable event in the way it was handled. And it doesn't do the city any good. So I think maybe take another look at procedures and see if things can be improved. And also, you know, alcohol evidently is a problem down in that area. I can't speak from personal experience, but if it is, I think council should look at enforcement. There's supposed to be no alcohol. So is that rule enforced? And maybe people get encouraged to think they can get away with things. So.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
You're welcome.
Bill, can I just let you know, I was in the office when the bride came in to get that permit, and she was specifically told no alcohol on the beach. She said, no, we're not having any alcohol. We're going to have a table there, and they're going to bring just a couple sandwiches down, but there will be no alcohol on the beach. And obviously, she wasn't telling the truth.
Mayor, if I could make a couple of clarifications. First is, we are aware of events that happen on the beach. The manager's office sends me copies every day just about of a special event permit, anything from a small wedding to somebody using one of the gazebos. And if it appears to be a large event, we note it in our system, and our officers do check it. Something as simple, like I said earlier, as what is purported to be a simple wedding event, we don't bother with. Secondly, with regards to the alcohol and the enforcement, I'd be happy to turn over the number of alcohol tickets that were issued this summer. Enforcement is not the issue. Quite frankly, there's just an extraordinary number of people down there at every given time, and we enforce the ones that we can.
I'd like to chime in too and say that I agree with Chief Bennett. I think we've all been down at the beach a lot since we've lived here. I've spent a lot of time at the jetties. I've seen the patrols down there enforcing, doing their job. You know, it's tough numbers-wise when you have that kind of numbers. You're not going to catch everybody. But that being said, I do have to speak out and say, Mayor Gunther, I sympathize with you in the fact that, you know, I think it's shameful with what the website did to link you and your school to such something. I mean, it bothered me a lot. To try to associate yourself and then link your school to that, I'm not happy about it at all. And I too I'm probably going to reach out to Mel Taylor or John himself. I mean, that's just to me very underhanded. So I just wanted to get that out there. I think Brigantine Patrol and Police do a wonderful job on the beaches. I see it all the time. I think this is a individual case. I myself have witnessed many weddings down at the beaches, spontaneously. I like to go to the beach at the end of the days and the evenings. I can't tell you how many times I've turned up and, wow, there's a wedding. We move out of the way. It happens all the time. I've never heard really any incident. So it's a shame that this happened. But Ms. Phillips, I believe that the summons were issued. I looked into it myself. I made some phone calls. I've spoken to some parties involved on both sides. I'm sure it'll all come out in court, and the summons and our questions will be answered. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public portion. Any further council comments or announcements?
I'd like to commend North School students and teachers and administration for a wonderful event this morning. Their National Walk to School Day took place. It was beautiful weather, and the kids were so well behaved. It was really a nice event.
Yeah, if I could, something that I guess we all got today in our emails from the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. Just wanted to let the public know and maybe ask if we could post it on the city's website. There's an October 18th event that's being, I think it's a week from Tuesday, at the All Wars Memorial Building in Atlantic City between 3 and 8. And they'll have representatives there from a variety of agencies, including the Mortgage and Finance Agency, to advise people who are potentially facing or are in foreclosure to help steer them to resources and possible financing and different programs. It sounds like it'd probably be a worthwhile program. It's free, and again, that's on Tuesday the 18th from 3 to 8 at the All Wars Memorial Building, which is at 1510 Adriatic Avenue in Atlantic City. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman.
I have a couple of announcements, if I may. This Saturday, October 8th, is the last farmers market for the 2016 season. It's our fall market. We're open from 8:30 to noon. There's a lot happening. So if you're a baker and you bake apple pie or pumpkin pie, there are great prizes for first and second place winners of the apple pie and pumpkin pie contest. Also, there's a lot of activities for children, so hopefully this storm will go out to sea and we'll have a nice day of weather. There's going to be pumpkin painting and decorating for kids. With the purchase of a small pumpkin, decorating, all the supplies are free. We're going to have trivia contests for adults, fall produce and fruit and veggie trivia contests. We're also going to have Guess the Candy Corn in the Container. So we have a lot of prizes to give away this Saturday, and come on out to the last farmers market. Another announcement I would like to make, on October 20th, the Green Team Creative Team, which is a subcommittee of the Green Team, there's a group of people working on, they formed a Green Team, and they're working on doing a community creative asset inventory where they map everything and collect data of different artists in our community, whether it's musical artists, vocal artists, performing artists, painting, all types of artists. There's a free meeting. If you would like to help with this team and the creative assets inventory and be a part of this, the meeting is October 20th from 7 to 9 at the community center. Refreshments will be served, and it's open to the public. So if you or you know someone who is an artist that would like to participate and help, please come that night. Also, John Doring, I think we have a few compost bins left. Okay, we worked out a deal to get a really good price on compost bins. If you know anyone, there's a few left. They're $58, correct? That's half the price of Home Depot. So if anybody wants a compost bin, it's a great time of year to start composting, especially if you're raking a lot of leaves. You need to dump your leaves right into your compost bin. So contact Public Works for that. And the last thing I wanted to ask, 266-7800, the last thing I wanted to add are the benches. I understand the benches are in. The last order of benches, I think, people had ordered. Are they in? When will they be assembled and put out?
being assembled as we speak. We're planning on putting them out in November.
Okay, great, thank you.
There's 26 of them, 27 of them.
Are you going to be putting them out as they're assembled, or are you going to assemble them all and then all in one shot?
And then put them all out at one time.
Okay, thanks for that news.
Just have one from the Cultural Arts Commission. We had our Memory Lane event, which was really successful. We had about 85 people show up, and we talked about different aspects of Brigantine history. It was a very popular event. We're actually going to put together a little series on that for the next coming year. We also have our Scarecrow contest, which is going on. It's going to scarecrows need to be displayed starting October 7th through the 31st, and this is all the businesses and shops on the island. City councils welcome to join if you guys want to put something together. And also, we wanted to let people know that the Cultural Arts Commission is now up on Facebook, so you can follow us there. Thanks.
Thank you, Vince.
Vince, does the public get a chance to vote? Is that how the winners are selected?
Yeah, the winners are selected by the public. People will vote. We'll actually do the awards at the PBA's Trunk or Treat, and that'll be on the, what's that, the 30th for the Trunk or Treat? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, see no other business before?
Mayor, I got some.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chief.
Chief Bennett's been hogging the microphone all night. I'm going to speak for a second.
Okay.
Don't mind. I just wanted to announce our open house we're going to be doing for the fire department on October 15th. We changed it up a little bit this year so we didn't conflict with the soccer games. We moved the time back from 11 to 2. We'll be doing our open house, and we have a couple new things I think will be really good for the kids. We're going to have the inflatable fire truck slide again. That's coming back. We're actually going to do a Jaws of Life demonstration. We're going to cut up a car and one side, and then an hour later do the other side for different groups. We're going to have the opportunity for the kids to play with a fire hose, squirt a structure that we made so they can knock down little things on there. We're also going to have face painting. Reverend Scotland and the youth group is going to have some people come over and do some face painting for us. And we are going to have some snacks, hot dogs, and stuff. So come out October 15th from 11 to 2.